go now, baby. We are right back into the action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Before You Bet, right here on the Covers YouTube channel. Make sure you smash that subscribe button right down there. A lot of great content here coming up and already on the channel here. Super Bowl is upon us. We are all over it. We're going to have an absolute avalanche of content, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel here. Makes our content a lot easier to find. Look at the calendar already, February 1st. We are absolutely flying here into 2024. And the show is starting to take a little bit of a different shape here, obviously, with football season coming to a halt. So, of course, we're going to be all over the Super Bowl, but you're going to start to see more NHL and college basketball come into the show. Then eventually some Major League Baseball as well, maybe some golf, maybe some horse racing. So yeah, a lot to get into today. I think only 4 games in the NBA here tonight, but we do have an avalanche of picks for you guys. Well, 6 picks for 4 games. That's pretty good. A bit tricky with some of the player props. Some big names are questionable. Are they going to play? Aren't they going to play? Some back-to-back type of stuff. But Jon Metler and I got a bunch for you guys. Then in the back half of the show, our guy Jingles will be by to talk about a couple bets he already clicked on for Super Bowl 58 here. So we'll get to him here in about 10 minutes. A bit of a shorter show today here, probably. Let's bring in our first guest of the day, our guy. We call him the Ass Man around here, Jon Metler. And John, I put out a tweet there last night, and you said you wanted me to address it on the show. So there I was. I put out 3 bets on Twitter there yesterday. The first 2 were losses. They did not go very well. And it's such a shitty feeling when, you put out a certain number of bets and loss. And it's all building up to the last one. And you do not want to get reverse swept, especially when you're in the picks business, giving out picks to people. You don't want to have that reverse sweep. But the Nets came through for me just barely. A sweat. They covered the first quarter spread. And despite having a losing night, it ended up feeling pretty good. Is this something you can relate to?
Yeah, I messaged you because I was laughing when I saw that tweet because I felt like this myself too. I feel like the bet that stops you from getting reverse swept is actually more exciting than the bet that wins you a sweep, which seems crazy. I mean, they're both the same. It's one win, but that reverse swept. I remember last year, there was one night last year in the NBA season where I had 9 bets. I gave them all out on Twitter, and it was just not going my way. You could just tell. Yeah, it was all the things it's a blowout. This guy's gonna sit. This guy's foul trouble. This guy turned his ankle. He's out. And I'm just I might go 0-9. It was a very real possibility. And then John Collins, I was over 1.5, plus 170. He dropped his second dime in the fourth quarter, and just I went 1-8. But I was so happy when John Collins did something. And just I don't know what it is. It's that mentality of oh my god, thank God I just didn't get reverse swept, or give me something, type thing. I just thought it was funny when I saw your tweet. I was because I feel like that too. It's sometimes stopping a reverse sweep is more exciting than even doing a sweep itself.
Yeah, in the moment, going 1-2 is so much better than going 0 for 3. Big picture over the course of a year won't make that big of a difference. But yeah, in the moment, that felt so much better. It made sleeping a little bit easier there last night. Okay, so I got 2. You have 4. We have 3 for this Knicks-Pacers game. I will get us started for this one. I'm just going to take the Knicks to cover the full game spread, -2.5 points. They are probably the hottest team here in 2024 here in the NBA. They are 14-2 on the year with 11 double-digit wins. A lot of these games not even close. They have a league best point margin of +15.4 here in 2024. The biggest edge in this game will be for them on the defensive end of the court. First versus 28th in opponent EFG shooting percentage over the last 10 games. First versus 26 in points allowed per 100 possessions. We should expect success in the paint and at the free throw line here for New York. Some easy high percentage scoring opportunities. Expect a lot of them. This is a matchup between teams that rank 2nd and 29th in opponent free throw attempt rate over the last 10 games. The Pacers, they're 29th, obviously. They're also getting destroyed in the paint, where the Knicks score a lot of their points. So give me the Knicks to win by at least 3 tonight in New York versus the Pacers. You have a prop for this game for a player who appears to be returning to the lineup here for the Knicks. OG, what do you got for him?
Yeah, I'm going to OG Anunoby over 1.5 assists, minus 125. He did miss the last 2 games. He is questionable tonight, so there's a chance that maybe he doesn't play and this gets voided, but that doesn't matter. You just get your money back. In terms of for Anunoby, so a couple things with the Knicks. Julius Randle's out. He has a separated shoulder. That opens up a lot of usage in this lineup. Anunoby, I mean, the reason Anunoby wanted out of Toronto was obviously he's a defensive stud, but he wants to be a max player who is also very involved in the offense. Well, here's your opportunity, right? This Julius Randle's out. They rely heavily on Julius Randle's usage. There's offensive opportunity in this lineup right now. And even if you just look at, so Anunoby missed the last 2 games. Those were 2 games that the first 2 games that Randle was out. Josh Hart filled in for Anunoby in the lineup. Josh Hart had 7 assists and 10 assists in those 2 games. It was Josh Hart's first ever triple-double. So now you bring in Anunoby, someone who they probably kind of want to feature in the offense a little more. And this total is 1.5. And then on top of that, you're also playing the Pacers. Like, this is going to be a wide open game against the Pacers. Like you said, they're going to have an easy time finishing the rim. You're not going to be relying on Jalen Brunson to create. Everyone's going to be able to create. This total of like 1.5 for Anunoby, this would be a good line if he was on the Raptors on a fully healthy team with the lower role that he had there in the offense. It just, to me, I saw the 1.5 minus 125. This is a prop that you could see like Anunoby go over like 3, 4, 5 times in a row, and they got to adjust it just to account for Randle being out. We'll see how they use him tonight. Even if Randle was playing, I mean, you got to look at this 1.5 minus 125.
Yeah, it looks like a good spot. That could hit in the first quarter. Absolutely. Okay, so pick number 3 for this game for us. A first half total bet for me. I'm going to take under 121.5 here. So this has been a hot spot for the Knicks lately and over the course of the season. 9 of their last 10 games at home have gone under the first half total. 16-6 is the mark on the season to the under. Average combined score of just 106.5 in Knicks first halves at home. Check out the last 10 games overall, regardless of location. Those games are averaging just 102.2. And don't expect a lot of success from 3-point land in this game. These teams rank, this maybe not surprising for the Knicks, but for the Pacers, the teams rank 2nd and 3rd in threes allowed over the last 10 games. Now, these teams are a little bit polar opposites. The Pacers are really good offensively, but they stink defensively. But this number of 121 leans much heavier towards the Pacers and their ability to score and not play so good on defense. But it's not really accounting for the low scores that we're seeing in first halves in Knicks games, especially at home. So we'll take under 121.5 in the first half in that game. Okay, Metler, Porzingis, a big game with a big spread tonight. The Celtics hosting the Lakers. What do you like for him tonight?
Yeah, so I'm going Kristaps Porzingis. This is an alternate total. It's 3 plus assists plus 165. So his total is 1.5. I got this at 365. So for Porzingis, a couple things. Is this something we've kind of attacked with Porzingis in the past with his assist prop? As specifically, I did this against the Milwaukee Bucks, where Porzingis, not only is he a 3-point shooter, but he can go 3-4 feet beyond the 3-point line and still shoot it. So he can really pull out someone's rim protector. And for the Lakers, that's Anthony Davis. They did it to Brook Lopez too. So when they start running actions for Porzingis to draw out that rim protector, it opens up opportunities for him to pass the cutters who can easily finish at the rim because the rim protector's gone. So that's the one thing with Porzingis. The other thing too is the Lakers defense is like awful, like right now, like brutal. Like if you watch their game against the Hawks the other night, they're terrible. They're giving up a ton of assists to front court players too. So not only do I think Porzingis kind of plays into someone who we could use against the Lakers for assists, they're also just in general giving up assists to front court players. So the last game against the Hawks, I played Capella over a half assist. He got home, and Capella's not an assist guy. You can clearly tell when his total's a half. And then the game before that, Jabari Smith Jr., his total for the Rockets going in that one was 1.5 plus 140. He had 4 assists. Alperen Şengün had a total of 4.5. He had 7 assists. So the front court players are just ripping by their totals here. It was just for Porzingis, I think the normal line was 1.5 minus 180 at 365. You can play that. There's an edge, but the bigger edge, your expected value almost goes 5 times higher if you go after this alternate total. So it seems like we're risking it a little more by going for the 3, but it's actually a better bet.
You think the Lakers do something drastic here? Or do you think they eventually just right the ship? It seems like a movie we see every single season for them. They get into some crazy slump. People are saying the head coach has got to go. LeBron with these cryptic tweets. Do you think they bounce back? Maybe they're just desperately in need of a break here. They kind of have a stench of a team that can't wait to get to the All-Star break. So what do you think of them going forward?
I just I don't know like what they can even do to kind of shake up this roster. And I know I've seen you poke fun on this too. Like, what are you going to do? Trade 4 second-round picks? The thing is this off season, because you can only trade so many picks at one time in the NBA. This coming off season, they would be able to trade 3 first-round picks. Right now, they can only trade 1. Okay. So if they trade that 1 right now, then they're down to 2 in the off season. So they would kind of be like trading the opportunity for maybe go get another star this coming off season with those 3 first-round picks if they try to do something now. So I don't know if they will. They're just very limited in what they can do. There's a lot of teams like that. I mean, the Bucks are another team like that. The Suns too. They've made their bed. This is what they have. There's not really much they can change.
Yeah, the Lakers and Heat seem to be linked to every potential All-Star that might be on the move. The Zach LaVines and DeJounte Murrays of the world. Knicks Heat and Lakers keeping their ears open for DeJounte Murray. Who in the hell are they going to trade for these guys? The backup center and 5 second-round picks, like I keep saying. Like they got a bunch of spare parts they can trade, but not a whole lot of options except for getting better. Okay, let's go to this game, 76ers versus Utah in Utah. Jordan Clarkson, you like him tonight in 2 different spots. Break these down for me.
Yeah, I rarely go after someone's like points and assists, so I think this should tell you what I think about Jordan Clarkson for tonight. So the first one is over 16.5 points, plus 100. So there's no Joel Embiid for the 76ers. And ironically, these teams only match up usually twice a year. So we don't really get too much film on like Jazz 76ers, but they just played on January 6th and Joel Embiid missed that game. So I was able to go back and like really look at how that game played out. For Clarkson, the 76ers had a really hard time containing Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson on the perimeter. So they're getting into the lane, they're getting to wherever they want. When there's no Joel Embiid, you lose your rim protector. Like the 76ers defenders, they can funnel people towards Embiid, and then you're kind of stuck once you get in. That wasn't the issue with Clarkson. He was getting in there, hitting his floaters and stuff like that. Clarkson, this total's come down to for Clarkson. He was, a 19.5 player. He's now a 16.5. He's gone under 7 of his 8 last games. That sounds not good when you're playing an over, but on this total of 16.5, it would have been 4 overs, 4 unders. So that looks very different, right? On the new number of 16.5. Also, when you go and look at that game with Clarkson for the points, he had 18 points the last time they played the 76ers. He was 0 for 6 from beyond the arc. That, to me, that really catches my eye because you don't expect him to shoot 0 for 6 again. And if you're like even 1 for 6, you're at 21 points, 24 points. So the fact that he was able to get over this 16.5 last time against the 76ers and like very recently here, less than a month ago, and he didn't even hit a single 3-pointer and he attempted 6 of them, that kind of really popped off the page for me. I just like that for Clarkson. Then the other prop I'm going after for Clarkson is 5+ assists. So this is similar to Porzingis. It just so happened they line up on the same day. This is an alternate total for Clarkson as well. So his line is 3.5 minus 155. So if we look at that line, again, same thing with Porzingis. You do have an edge playing the 3.5 minus 155, but our expected value almost doubles if we go after this plus 145 on this alternate total. So is there a chance he finishes with 4? It's possible, and you'd be maybe upset we don't get a green check mark out of this bet. But the long-term play is to play this 5+ assists. So for Clarkson, when I was talking about with his points prop, they had a hard time. He was getting the lane, he's finishing, there's no rim protection. Well, then the adjustment was they started to help. So they're bringing help, and Clarkson was just dumping it off to his forwards, and they're dunking at the rim. So there's kind of like it kind of goes both ways here for Clarkson. I think he's just gonna be very involved in the game because he's gonna have an advantage the whole time. And whether they attack him once he gets in the lane, he'll dump for assists. And if they don't attack him, he should have an easy time finishing. I like both props. Both props are showing a nice edge, so I just for both.
Bruce Green in the chat says, can I get a winner? Well, Bruce, if you tail all 6 of the plays that Metler and I give out, I'm not guaranteeing, but I'm guessing you will get at least 1 winner out of those. Hopefully you'll get 6. And always a reminder, guys, if you're tailing people's picks, whether it be John or me or anyone else on the internet, do a little bit of your own research as well. You just don't want to tail people blindly. Do a bit of research into the people who you are tailing as well. Always recommend that. Before we let you go, John, quick thoughts on this Milwaukee Bucks situation. Just a brutal loss in Portland last night. Damian Lillard returns home. The Bucks are favored by 10.5. Now, Portland is playing a little bit better here lately. But the Doc Rivers era not off to a good start. They have lost 3 of their last 4 games. To me, the whole situation with the Bucks seems scrambled. And that's from the start of the season. Out of nowhere, they shake up their entire team and they trade for Damian Lillard to kind of changes how the team plays defensively quite a bit. Then almost out of nowhere, I guess, they fire the head coach. Then they bring in Doc Rivers, who doesn't exactly have the best reputation in big games. I don't think it's going to end well. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. The whole thing, like they hired Adrian Griffin, and then he didn't even know they had no plans of trading for Damian Lillard. Then you trade for Damian Lillard and whatever. Like Adrian Griffin probably didn't spend his offseason planning to have Damian Lillard. And then now you bring in Doc Rivers, and Doc Rivers in his first press conference was saying, I've never done this before. I've never taken over a team halfway through the season. This is going to be really hard. I was like, wow, that's kind of setting yourself up for like if this doesn't work, don't blame me. I've never done this before. It's very interesting. The thing is too, is the trade deadline is less than a week away. So does Doc Rivers, like, he's also just doing this on the fly. It's not like you get like a free 2 weeks to kind of run like a training camp and figure out like all the things you want to run in the actions and like how you get Lillard more involved. Like it's like practice game. Like, how do we make this work? And he's also got to decide how they're going to play this trade deadline. So it's very interesting, the move. I mean, the free throw thing last night with Giannis, that was just not funny,
it's
but
embarrassing.
Like, how do you pass it in? You have a guy who shoots 92%, you have a guy who shoots 66%, you give it to 66% guy. I get what he was saying after. He was hoping he'd be able to grab the rebound, but I mean, the thing with that is you gotta make the first free throw, and he didn't. So
they're backed into a corner right now. Peter Lowe in the chat says the biggest problem in Milwaukee is Giannis. I don't know if I wouldn't say that. I think the fact that they're just there's got to be a line here, because they're bending over for this guy because they want him to stick around, and he did sign the extension. Sometimes you have to do that with players, but sometimes it can go too far, and it often doesn't work out. It worked out for the Miami Heat with LeBron and Chris Bosh going there because Pat Riley was in charge. Now in Milwaukee, Giannis is in charge. In Brooklyn, it was Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving who were in charge. How did that work out? Not very good. So yeah, I think the whole thing is too scrambled, and they're really backed into the corner. I don't like them there. Their odds to win the East, plus 230. No, thank you. I'd rather take the Knicks at 13-1. How good they've been looking lately.
I was just going to say, I feel like after the Super Bowl here, we probably should have a conversation. I think the Knicks are kind of that one team that's really good that nobody's really taking seriously as like an NBA Finals or Eastern Conference or something like that. I agree with you. I would much rather take the Knicks. I was playing around, I end up walking on the treadmill 2 weeks ago for like 3 hours because I was playing on the trade machine thing online. And the Bucks, it's the same thing. They just, like the Lakers and like the Suns, they just don't have anything they can offer to improve this lineup. So like, they could do something drastic, and they honestly might. They might do something a little crazy, but there's just not much they don't have draft picks offered. I mean, they sent them away for Lillard and stuff. So they're kind of in an interesting spot too.
Yeah, Giannis and Dame just had to outscore the other team every night, basically. And we'll see if Chris Middleton can stay healthy, which has been a problem down the stretch of the past couple seasons as well. Yeah, so the outlook for the Milwaukee Bucks, not a very good one. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Still a long way to go. Okay, John, we'll leave it at that for today, but you will be right back with us tomorrow. Great, big looking, sexy board in the NBA tomorrow. So we'll get into our picks then. Best of luck with the ones tonight, and we'll catch you again tomorrow.
All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Okay. Let us shift gears here to the NFL. Big game coming up here in about a week and a half when we bring in our guy with the sexiest smile in all sports betting. Joseph. I do the worst at. So when you have guests on the show, like I have to tell people, hey, we're expect to come on at this time. I told Jingles at around 10 after we'll have you on. So it's just been waiting. So we thank you. We apologize for wasting his time, but that is the way.
You're not wasting my time. I'm sitting there trying to figure out which afternoon soccer game to bet on. There's just awful. I'll probably have to bet on Belgium soccer today, sadly. I was looking at their NFL hires, trying to find a good talking point for your man Quinn. I think I found one, and one of the comments was, it's great news for the Giants and Eagles because the Cowboys lose a good defensive coordinator and the Commanders get a bad head coach.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that off the top here. It kind of seems like an uninspiring hire. Quinn coming off an awful game in the playoffs against the Packers, where they got absolutely destroyed. You know, we saw them get to the Super Bowl, or saw him get to the Super Bowl in Atlanta with a stacked roster. We know what happened there.
Yeah.
28-3. So I don't know. I think an uninspiring hire. The Commanders, they were hoping to get some new life, a lot of new energy into the team. They still very well might do it. They got the new owner. They got a high draft pick. But I don't know. Not the most. But
there's nothing exciting as a Washington fan. Like you, there was talk about Johnson coming in, and that was exciting. And now you go like to Ron Rivera light. You go DC to DC. Obviously, they need help defensively, but I mean, it just doesn't push the needle. They got rid of a lot of capital on that defensive line. The secondary's god awful. Me and you were talking about before the show. There are some pieces in this offense if they put it together. But I mean, maybe with him. I don't see how he's going to push someone like Eric Bieniemy to change this offense into something that it really isn't, or that we didn't see this year.
Yeah, so every head coaching job in the NFL is now spoken for. I'm surprised that Mike Vrabel didn't get a job. I think he only interviewed for 1 or 2, maybe. And maybe, I don't know what the deal is. Maybe he is deciding like, hey, I want to take a year off. And
no backup schools, just one shot. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I think everyone was kind of surprised that he was let go from Tennessee. There was rumors towards the end of the season that maybe he was going to get traded to the Patriots, and obviously that didn't work out. But I think maybe there's more to the story there. Now, you were a guy that came on, and you didn't like the idea of anyone hiring Bill Belichick. And, of course, a lot of people seem surprised that he didn't get a job. I think this is it for him. What is he, 72 years old? So a year from now, all of a sudden he's going to be a hot head coaching candidate. No. So what do you make of him not getting hired? And you think this is it for him?
I'm 40 years old, and I'm like an old candidate for head coaching nowadays. It just comes to time. And I think that's what I mentioned was his value to a team or an organization is much better not on the sidelines, somewhere else. He hasn't done anything for 4 years. We get that. He hasn't really revolutionized any of that offense. They've done nothing with draft capital. And I think I also mentioned the fact that like that quarterback situation was so ugly, basically culminating to like games on the line. All right, Bailey Zappi, lead us on this final drive with 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It was just ugly. But like, this is a man that has more experience and winning, and everybody in that industry will listen to what he says, give him a front office job and pay him what he wants.
Yeah, I see people kicking it around like, Belichick as a defensive coordinator for some team. And the Dolphins need a defensive coordinator. Joe, what do you think of Belichick? You think Belichick's going to stand in the back of the room?
No.
Mike McDaniel is up there lecturing the team and joking around wearing his tight capri pants? I don't think so. Not a good match. And people are saying, well, the Ravens need a defensive coordinator. He's not taking a defensive coordinator job. I would be very, very shocked unless it was on a team that has a coach that he's good friends with and highly respects. I just don't think it would work on someone. Mike Vrabel to take a defensive. He's the alpha dog. He's not going to be second in command on a team here. So, my prediction would be next year around this time, the New York Jets will be hiring Mike Vrabel as their head coach. That will be my prediction, and we will come back to this show and check it out then.
Where does what's his face go? The Jets head coach, the San Francisco guy.
Robert Saleh, he'll be back in San Francisco as
he goes to Houston, defensive coordinator with Houston. That would be a great spot for those two.
Yeah, he absolutely sstinks as a head coach. I know he looks cool. And
really?
Stuff like that.
Do you think he's a bad head coach or just the Jets?
He's got like a 33% win rate in 3 seasons as a head coach. You can only use the excuse as the quarterback of the quarterbacks. Yeah, they got a bad break with Aaron Rodgers, absolutely. But you know who else had a lot of bad breaks this season? The Cleveland Browns had like 5 different starting quarterbacks, and they still went on to make the playoffs. Now they flamed out in the wild card game against the Texans, obviously. But I think he stinks as a head coach.
Lamar Jackson MVP, DeMar Hamlin comeback player of the year. Like, it's amazing that Cleveland got nothing with what they did with that
Yeah.
team, because they had Joe Flacco had to lead them to the playoffs. It was absolutely astonishing for what happened in Cleveland. And someone like him and Stefanski definitely need more credit.
Yeah, some guys are better coordinators, and I think that is the case for Robert Saleh and probably Dan Quinn as well. Okay, let's get into a couple picks here for the Super Bowl. We're going to get a lot more out of you next week. Next week will be Super Bowl week here at Before You Bet. Quite a few guys in the live chat right now. Drop some of your bets in the live chat here, whether it be for tonight or for Super Bowl 58. Let us know what you're on, and I will read a few off at the end of the show. Okay, Jingles, 2 bets here that you have in already. What are we betting on here for Super Bowl 58?
Quick shout out to Josh D. Saw him this morning. Hockey bets. Appreciate it there. Derek Falk says Belgium soccer. Might as well find a market on Taylor Swift. I don't agree with that at all. Taylor Swift bets take way too long to grade, and my Belgian soccer will be graded before I pick up my children at school. Let's go. George Kittle, over 20.5 yards, longest reception, -115. We're getting a hell of a break on George Kittle because I was broken with what he performed in the Detroit game. It wasn't what we wanted. He has that toe issue, but he's got 2 weeks. Indoor game, 7-2 to the over on this prop in his last 9 games. It was 23.5 versus Detroit. Obviously, a lot of that had to do with that secondary, but 3 yards on the longest reception is massive. We're also looking at a number on his yardage that's like 13 yards difference from last week. So I'm certainly here for it. There's a lot to like. The indoor game angle is something that Derek Carty and the Blitz talk about constantly. It's something that's not projected and priced in as well as it should be. Indoor games, increased pass volume, increased pass efficiency. There's a lot to like in this spot in that situation. And I was doing a deep dive on the referee situation, Bill Avinovich's group. He's one of the lowest flag throwing referees in all of football. That's big when we look at someone like Kittle, and even when we look at the other offense on the other side with Travis Kelce and how they run pretty aggressive rubs offensively and get away with it. Those are kind of the tic-tac calls that can go either way. Bill Vinovich's group actually called George Kittle for an offensive pass interference late in the first half in Super Bowl, whatever, the San Francisco KC one, round 1. That was a 42-yard game that got wiped out. Those are the ones that there's a slight edge if we know that this group is just going to let things go. We kind of saw not a lot of flags in the San Francisco game. So Kittle bounces back. We're getting a discount on the price. Matchup's good. The form's good, 7-2 to the over. And like I said, the indoor environment, pretty decent. And he hit this over. He showed he can do this in low volume. 1 catch, 28 yards down near the final quarter there in Detroit on Sunday.
Next bet you had, was it Patty Mahomes?
I've switched over. So Mahomes over 257.5 passing yards is a play from the Blitz, projecting 288. And it's not often you see the Blitz jump on big name guys in big games. But I'm going to piggyback that, and I'm going Rashee Rice over 65.5 receiving yards, -115. Like I said, the projection for Mahomes is low, and a lot of that has to do with the perceived projection here on Rice, who could see his total climb to 70.5. That is a big number considering it's just been moving up from like 62.5 to 65. Like I said, the indoor environment certainly increases pass volume and pass efficiency. Closed at 69.5 versus Buffalo in that game, in the wind, in the snow, getting a solid price here. And let's be honest, this San Francisco defense still might be overpriced for what the books actually think it is. It's not a great offense. It's given up almost over 800 yards over the last 2 weeks. And this is a spot where Patty Mahomes is cooking. This is the number 1 heavy pass team in all of football at 69%. Adjusted for context. Rice on the season, 20% target share. That's a good number, but this was a guy who wasn't involved early in the year. He was averaging 4.5 targets weeks 1 to 9, hits the break, and he goes from 4.5 targets to 8.6 over his last 10 games. We know this offense throws to 2 people and 2 people only, while guys like MVS just run straight. Justin Watson just gets away with running rubs, and these 2 guys get it, and Pacheco's the third passing option.
Okay, there you have it. So we will have you back with us next week. We'll get into a lot more. Going to be all over this thing, the Super Bowl, same game parlays. We got a ton of exciting guests lined up for you guys next week, including Jingles, who we'll have back with us on Thursday. Then we're going to be leaning on you for some NHL here down the stretch of the season. And speaking of the NHL, All-Star game going down this weekend, skills competition. For people who are looking for something different to bet on with no NFL football this weekend. You're all over that beat here for the NHL. So tell us a little bit about that and what else you have going on here at Covers.
Oh, it's been a disaster for the books on how to price this stuff. Just because the format changed this year, 12 guys are in. There's 6 events. They have to choose 4. So all those guys are not playing every competition, but the books had prices out for there. The list got released last night. So you had guys like plus 2,000 that have now moved to like plus 700. So there's lots of guys holding some great positions out there just because of the uncertainty of what it was, and books really didn't know what was happening. But outside of that, don't price your money. Don't pay for chalk. Don't pay for big tickets. Last year in the hardest shot, the fastest skater, and the accuracy, the 3 winners were all the 3 longest prices. Okay, like this is a spot where maybe take a couple shots. Like for the hardest shot, there's only 5 guys. Take the bottom 2 guys, take 40% of the entire market in that situation, and just hope there's first bet, first overall pick. They're drafting teams this year. There's a lot of fun markets, and there's a lot of angles to look at. And I don't know, follow my Twitter as I keep trying to find some angles and hopefully some edges.
Indeed. Follow our guy, Covers_Josh. Okay, Jingles, thanks a lot for joining us. We'll be leaning on you heavily again next week with all of your Super Bowl 58 picks and coverage and analysis. So thanks again for joining us. Best of luck with your bets, and we'll catch you again next week.
All right, Joe. Appreciate it, pal. Talk soon.
Yes, sir. Okay. Don't you guys miss Thursday night football? Wouldn't you love a Jaguars Titans traditional game of Thursday night football tonight? I miss it. So a couple guys weighing in the chat. Peter Lowe says Brock and Mahomes under interceptions. Now I would agree with Mahomes. He's played pretty clean football in the playoffs outside of that AFC Championship game against Cincinnati a couple of years ago. I think he threw 2 interceptions in that game, but outside of that, he's been pretty clean. I think Brock is going to throw one. Pretty sure he threw 1 against the Lions. He probably should have thrown 2 against the Packers. Darren Folks, he loves all Kittle bets. So I'm guessing he is aligned with Jingles on that over longest reception bet. A couple different people weighing in. Josh D asks, anyone see that bet in Canada for over under Kelsey proposes at the bowl? What the F was that? Yeah, I think it was will Travis Kelsey propose to Taylor Swift on the field after the game, and momentarily no was minus 250, and a lot of people see minus 250 bet and not think that there's a whole lot of value in that. That's an incredible bet. That quickly moved to like minus 600 or something. There's no way he's proposing to her on the field. Do you think he wants to take the spotlight away from his team if they win the Super Bowl by proposing to? That would be the biggest story in entertainment of the decade, probably. So no, that's not going to be happening. Congrats to all the good people out there if you did get in on that. Harish Franco, Knicks under full game. My pick for today. I don't know if he needs team total or the game total. I'm on the Knicks in the first half under in that game. Yeah, Josh D weighing in. That is an incredible bet at the time. The value is now gone. Taylor Swift, man, it's going to be a fun Super Bowl. I cannot wait. We still got 10 days to go. The longest break here. I hate the 2-week break. I understand why they want to do it, and it is ultimately better for the game. It gives the players time to heal and get healthy. Gives the teams more time to game plan. It is what it is. But yeah, it's going to be a weird Sunday without any football here this Sunday, but that is the way she goes. Okay, we're going to be right back with you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. If you like the show, let us know. Hit the like button right down there. Make sure you are subscribed to the Covers YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will catch you again tomorrow. Woo!